Hello everybody, we just got some more questions for a color piece where we don't use any outlines. We found a really good friend of ours, Alfred Newman, everybody knows him. Had a joy to do this tattoo in Austria, and a friend of ours by the tattoo convention in Graz about a month ago. So I wanted to show you something and explain this a little bit, how I built this piece up. There's exclusively no black lines at all besides on the eyes only here. How I worked this piece, I used some little lining black there, 7 liner, 9 round, 15 curved Magnum. That's all I used, nothing else. Most of the work is done with the 15 Magnum. The tattoo is approximately, I would say, 6 inches in this size in real, and we just blew it up so you can see a little bit better. Sometimes it's really good if you blow up a tattoo and you have a chance to print it out that big, then you can see your flaws, you can see all your faults in it, you can see where you didn't get too close to the lines, or where you, like, we're going a lot of black lines a little bit. So sometimes if you have a choice to do that, go home and do it. It's really, really helpful. I started out, I used a regular stencil like you would use for a portrait, just regular hand drawn, not machine made, so I get familiar with the design. Put it on the skin, and then what I did is, instead of doing line works, I started right away to shade with it. What I used is, I used a blood red to start with it. It's a bluish red, it's really deep, and I used some mixing solution with it, color mixing solution, to get almost like a shading effect instead of having that strong, solid color constantly. And I start to work the skin like a little bit like a feather, just touch it very surfacey and feel your way out, you know, and be very careful when you wipe it off. And then I started shading around here a little bit and bring it in. Came around here, I left that line. In the older days, you were going that you go from the darkest color to the lightest. We made some changes along the way about 10 years ago. We just went in and said, like, okay, who says that? Nobody told me ever personally, so I just like reversed it. And we say, like, okay, we put the light color first, and then we shaded the dark color on top of it. For the darker color, you have to mix it with a mixing solution to make the color more translucent, and you have to be very feathery. You can't work it in, you can't hit the skin twice down to a tube, so you have to fade it, like really just feather it on top of it, so almost you want to tickle somebody. And then you shade it on top of it. What it does for you is, it's always more difficult to leave the room what you need for the highlight, instead of having the highlight already in it and then just make the darker shades on top so you can play with it. Very, very, very helpful. It takes a little planning, but it's very helpful. Same part here, we started to come in here, we were shading around, we used some coral, come in here, over here, some creamsicle in there, we made a little line over here. Usually people make a black line in here. We used a bright red to make the line underneath the nose. And then also here started to shade out the bright red again. We mixed it around with creamsicle a little bit to get that orangey look to it. When we came up here to the lighter colors, we were using some bright sunshine to it. Also here you see there's a little yellow in here. And then started to go in over, use some sweet candy, and again some creamsicle, and then we used some white to shade it out. All those elements we see here have been done in this way. It's a new technology, a lot of people use it. Nico, Mike DeVries, Mike DeMasi. A lot of people use that new effect. It's going working like a copy machine, almost like a printer, instead of going and working all over the place. And it really, really works when you get used to it. Like your brain adopts better to see what you can get on shades and where to lay and what you want to blend, instead of working all over the place and you try to create an image. For the eyebrow, we used a little dark chocolate. It was coming up here just to like give it a little darker spot. Also by the color, by the hair, blood red, bright sunshine. Everything would come up here. We were working on that. Some bull's blood in there, which has a little like reddish, magenta-ish look to it. So it gives it different elements. And then all the dark spots you see in here are dark chocolate and gray washes on top of the pigment. So they're not on the bottom, they're on the top, which made it happen that we can make like really crazy shades, and you have this light, real light stuff in here, which normally if you would work opposite would be gone. It would lay on top of it instead of being behind it. Sometimes you want to have a highlight, and then I discovered lately that it's really good and helpful to work with low lights. So you go in the opposite way. Instead of just thinking, oh, I have to highlight, a low light can be so much as effective as anything else you're going to do, and it's really, really helpful. We came down here, we used a little bit on the liner. All the hair has been done with the 15 Magnum. I used it sideways, like when you have it like this, it's in, and I use it, I stand it up, and then I go like this. You need to be very quick. You need to have a curved Magnum. It's very difficult to do with a straight one because you're going to go in too deep, and when you pull out, it's going to come out too quick. If you have a curved one, you can go in and you can pull it out, and the natural curve of the needle is going to help you to get that effect. So it's really, really simple. If you get used to it, you come up here. We used some lavender on the highlight on the side to give it some more dimension, because if not, it would have been just a reddish orangey piece. Would have been pretty 3D, I guess. But this made it really 3D. So this has made it, it gives it another depth, it gives it another light source, it gives it another angle where your eye is going to pick up, and it's going to be like giving you some extras on it. All those shades have been done afterwards. I needed to have some more cheekbones, and I needed to have some stuff, so it was top shaded. Nothing has been done beforehand, everything was done with color first. Every darker spot is done afterwards. So we shaded a little bit here, very, very soft, shaded a little bit here. Came up here, and then I wanted to enhance it a little bit because the person did not want to have a background to it yet. So I needed to hold it in place. It's a very difficult situation if a tattoo is not done with any black or dark lines around it, that it stays in the spot and it looks really strong. So I used